Look up on a clear night, and everything you see looks finished, fixed, permanent. But modern cosmology says all of it. Every star, every planet, the ground under your feet, was once a single cloud of hot, opaque gas. Smoke. That is the word the Qur'an used 1400 years ago, in a desert with no telescope. So how did it get there? God says, in the Qur'an, then he turned to the heaven. When it was smoke, one line, and the whole weight of it sits on a single word. In Arabic, that word is dukhān. Smoke, not light, not water, not a void. Smoke. Something you can see, but not see through. Something hot and dense and formless. A note before we go on. What you just heard is a translation of the meaning. The Qur'an's own words are the Arabic you heard recited. And that Arabic word is making a claim about the very beginning of everything. A claim that, for 13 centuries, absolutely no one on earth could check. Sit with how strange that image is. The verse describes a stage, a when. It says, there was a time when the heaven was not yet the heaven. Before the stars, before the order, before anything you would recognize looking up, there was this, smoke. And notice what that quietly commits to. First, that the sky had a beginning, that it was once something else entirely. And second, that what it began as was not solid, not liquid, not empty, but an opaque, formless, hot haze. Now set that beside what the world actually believed. In the learned cosmology inherited from the Greeks, the model that shaped educated opinion from Aristotle's day well into the 1600s, the heavens were made of a special, unchanging element, and they were eternal. They had no origin, because they had never begun. That was the sophisticated position, held by the best minds available. And against that, a book recited in 7th century Arabia says the heaven had a beginning, and describes what it looked like. Now, fast forward to modern cosmology, observational and theoretical, and here is what it indicates. At one point in time, the whole universe was nothing but a cloud of smoke, an opaque, highly dense, hot, gaseous composition. That is not a poetic gloss. That is how the science is stated. And it is one of the undisputed principles of standard modern cosmology. The physicist Steven Weinberg laid the picture out in his classic account of the early universe, The First 3 Minutes. The reference our source book cites. And take the word opaque seriously, because it is doing real work. In that early phase, the universe was not transparent. Light could not travel freely through it. It was scattered, over and over, inside a glowing fog. There was nothing to see through, because everything was the fog. If you are searching for an everyday word for a hot, dense, formless, light-blocking medium, the honest answer, in any language, is smoke. And the most remarkable part is that this is not only ancient history. That process never fully stopped. Point a telescope at a stellar nursery, and you can watch new stars forming right now, out of the remnants of that same material. Vast clouds of gas and dust. The Lagoon Nebula is one of them, a cloud roughly 60 light-years across, lit from within by hot young stars that formed inside it. Every illuminating star you see at night was once in that smoke, and so was the whole universe. And the Qur'an doesn't stop at describing the raw material. It makes a second claim about what that material did. In Surah Al-Anbiya, God says, "Have not those who disbelieved known that the heavens and the earth were one connected entity? Then we separated them? Follow the logic, because the earth and the heavens above, the sun, the moon, the stars, the planets, the galaxies, were all formed out of that same smoke. The conclusion follows that the earth and the heavens were once one connected entity. Then, out of that single, homogeneous smoke, they formed and they separated from each other. And the Arabic here is remarkably physical. The verse says they were ratqan, sewn shut, closed up, joined as one piece, and that God then unstitched them, tore that single piece apart. That is a claim about common origin and subsequent separation, stated in 12 words. To anyone standing in 7th century Arabia, the earth beneath and the sky above were obviously, self-evidently, two entirely different kinds of thing. The idea that they were once the same thing was not merely unproven. It had no meaning. So put it together. Claim 1. The heaven had a beginning, and at that beginning it was smoke. Hot, dense, opaque. Claim 2. The earth and the heavens were originally one connected entity and were then separated. Both statements sat in the Qur'an for 13 centuries, before there existed any instrument, any mathematics, any method capable of testing them. And when the tools finally arrived, they did not contradict the two claims. They described them. Listen to a working scientist on exactly this point. Dr. Alfred Kroner is one of the world's renowned geologists, professor of geology and chairman of the Department of Geology at the Institute of Geosciences at Johannes Gutenberg University in Mainz, Germany. He said, thinking where Muhammad came from, I think it is almost impossible that he could have known about things like the common origin of the universe, because scientists have only found out within the last few years, with very complicated and advanced technological methods, that this is the case. And he went further. Somebody who did not know something about nuclear physics 1400 years ago could not, I think, be in a position to find out from his own mind. For instance, that the earth and the heavens had the same origin. That is a geologist, describing the size of the gap, not between one opinion and another, but between an entire era's knowledge, and a statement that turned out to be true. Here's an honest way to hold this. A single striking image could be a coincidence. Skies look hazy, and smoke is an available word. But the Qur'an committed to both halves of the picture, what everything was made of, and that it was once a single joined thing that came apart. Two claims tied together, each untestable for over 1,000 years, each matching what cosmology now describes. And this is the third episode in a row where the same pattern repeats. A precise statement about something no one of that era could observe. The embryo, the roots of mountains, and now the origin of the universe itself, sitting quietly in the Qur'an until the instruments caught up. At some point, the question stops being, is this a coincidence? And becomes the question the Qur'an itself keeps asking. If not from the one who made the heavens and the earth, then from where? Smoke first, then stars. One connected entity, then separation. Described 1400 years ago, confirmed within living memory. This episode, like this whole series, is based on the book, A Brief Illustrated Guide to Understanding Islam by I.A. Ibrahim. The reference for every quote you heard today, you'll find it linked in the description, and a word about why we make these. This is Qur'an Explorer, and this series exists for two kinds of viewer. If you're Muslim, we hope these signs let you see your own book with fresh eyes, and that you come away knowing there is far more in it than you were ever taught. And if you're not Muslim, you are genuinely welcome here. Nothing on this channel asks you to accept anything on trust. We give you the verse. We give you what science actually found. We give you the dates. And then we leave the question with you, exactly as the Qur'an itself leaves it. That's the entire effort behind this channel. making the signs in the Qur'an clear, accurate, and accessible, so that anyone, from any background, can weigh the evidence for themselves and understand Islam as it actually is, rather than as they've been told it is. If this gave you something to think about, take a second to like the video, share it with someone who'd find it interesting, and subscribe, so you don't miss the series. Next episode, Why the Qur'an Blames the Forehead for Lying, and what neuroscience found there. See you in the next one.